slide 并不多，slide 只有几页，然后主要的话会跟大家是一个demo 的形式，会 walk through 这些 tooling 怎么用啊。然后首先简单讲一下什么是 vibe coding。vibe coding 这个是最近一两年新出来的一个词儿然后这个 vibe coding 的意思呢，基本就是通过用这个现在的大语言模型然后在大语言模型上现在出了很多各种各样的这个 software application 都是相当于 AI wrappers，然后可以帮助你去做一些很多 software engineer 本来是之前需要懂怎么写代码去做的事情，现在可以很多large language model 可以帮你去做然后呢，基本就是最后的方式就是本来你需要自己写 code 变成你跟LL 去交互写 code 的这么样一个状态，所以说之后会跟大家就是具体演示这个事情是怎么 work 的。然后我换一下英文吧。Let me switch to English. It will be a little bit easier for me to explain all the technical terms. Uh, so so there are a list of common vibe coding tools, including the following. I threw this on the list. So ChatGPT, uh, most people use it before. It's a really good starting place, but very basic. Then there is a lot of toolings called Bolt, Loveboat. They're very popular to non-coders, people who doesn't have a programming background. There's also a set of tools like Cursor, really popular for software engineers who basically have coding experience or professional experience in coding. And then I'll also introduce a little bit my tool. It's a tool specific tailored for life science scientists. Let's start with some simple stuff that most of professionals in the life science industry or any other industry usually deal with, right? You deal with a lot of data. And a good starting point to learn how to do vibe coding is actually starting from doing data analysis. A lot of times we can achieve doing data analysis using tools like Excel sheets, spreadsheets, Google Sheets. But with a lot of large language models and with the vibe coding, you will get much more capability in terms of how fast and how capable you can do data analysis. So let me start with some examples. So to demonstrate this, we'll start with ChatGPT. So the ChatGPT has a lot of capability already built in. So usually people, new beginners to ChatGPT, right? There's an interactive chat. You can help you write emails, help you polish your writings. They can do so much more beyond that, right? So let's get some data first. So I have a set of data from uh, a bioarchive paper we published during my last tenure of job at Ginkgo. So if you Google Ginkgo antibody paper, you should see this about archive. You can download this paper. There's a data set associated with this paper. Let's click on this link. Doesn't seem to work. That's okay. I do have this my papers. Let me see. It's about archive. Doesn't matter. You can search for this when the bioarchive is a web backup. You should be able to see a link to download the data. So it leads you to a website where you can click this button called download sample data. And then once you download the data looks like the following. It is a set of data related to assays on antibodies. So I assume a lot of people here are from the life science industry. If you're not, that's okay. Doesn't matter, but you can assume that this is just a large set of data that wrangled in Excel sheets, right? There are some antibody names. there are some different assays that produce different data points that all wrapped into this gigantic Excel sheet, right? There are some definitions, some sequences of the antibodies, right? Some comparison of different methods, stuff like that, right? So if you, for example, if you want to do some data plotting analysis on this, using Excel sheets will take you a lot of time, right? Well, with the ChatGPT, you can start wrangling this data and visualizing data, get insights pretty quickly. So let me demonstrate how to do that. So the way to do this is you can upload this file. There's a button on ChatGPT plus this plus button. You can just either drag your file here or upload your file. So let's find where the data is. So demo data, antibody. You can drag this file. So now you can ask questions, right? For example, in this spreadsheet, there is a particular sheet called nano DSF versus DSF, right? There are comparisons between these two methods, how the data perform, how the data points look differently based on different assay type. So then you can see, can you do a comparison plot? You can fix the typo, it doesn't matter. For nano DSF versus DSF. Now we wait for the AI to respond. So what AI is currently doing is it actually write a piece of code trying to look through the data. So if you look at what ChatGPT is currently doing, it's going through the data, trying to understand. Then after a couple iterations, very quickly, give you a plot like this, right? So this may actually not make sense, right? But if you look into the data, and then if you understand what you're trying to get to, then you can change your prompt, right? For example, you can see this plot doesn't seem to make sense. Can you try a different way of plotting? Then we'll go back and try this again, right? So this is a way of interacting with the AI is usually just this back and forth, right? So a lot of times AI may not give you the right answer the first time, but after a couple of iterations, it can start to understand you better, and you can understand the data better. So let's try a different example, maybe a little bit more a simpler example. So let's try this data set. So this is a simpler data set if we open this on your local sheet. You can see this data looks like the first two columns are describing what the sample is, and then the rest of the columns are data points, different time points, and the values on that data acquisitions. So for this, you can ask a simple question like time course plot, time course plot, and then the ChatGPT will start writing code and produce you a time plot, right? So this now here, it give you a plot. Then you can ask question like, can you change the color scheme for the plot and also make the dots larger? Also, for example, this assume that these are in the X bar is under minutes. For example, if you know this actually the X label should be in seconds, right? Or hours, right? You can change that, right? So all through interactive chat, right? It can write you code, produce you plots. You can ask it to change. So now you can say it changes, right? I'll pause here. Any questions so far? All right. I assume everything's good. It's very strange talking to uh, to to avoid feels like, but let's proceed. So the next thing I want to show, oh, what is the script ChatGPT outputting? That's a good question. So ChatGPT defaults to use Python script. It is a programming language. It's pretty popular among data science and data scientists. It has a lot of packages help you to do data wrangling, to do data visualization. Does that answer your question? All right, I assume that's a yes. So let's move on. All right, so go back. So this is an example of doing data analysis with vibe coding, right? So more common things are with vibe coding are actually building applications, building useful applications that solve particular problems in a particular domain, right? So this is where the vibe coding really is really powerful. What I've experienced like as a software engineer, I used to write all the code by myself. But about 2 years ago, right, I started leveraging large language models to help me write code. So what the the real tipping point is the following, right? So when I realized that I can literally tell ChatGPT, I was using ChatGPT at the time, 2 years ago, what I want to implement in my software, and it will just write me a piece of code. Then what I can do is copy that piece of code to my uh, programming coding environment and start testing it out. And then when it errors out, I can describe the error or paste the error back to ChatGPT and start analyzing the errors and write new code to solve those errors. I realized I can do this iteratively, and it can actually do the job in a lot of cases. It does a job faster than myself as a 10-year-old coder. So that's really the realization that the large language model is really something that improve the capabilities of human coders, right? So to fast forward to now, on the market, there are a gazillion of tools that help you to do vibe coding, to do a lot of software development, even for people who doesn't know anything about programming or software development. So let me show you a demo of how to do this from scratch, right? So there are a lot of tools out there, including the ones I've listed here, Boat or Lovable, right? These are popular ones. You can read this media blog that somebody writes. It's a really reasonable article listing all the vibe coding tools. Let's start with Boat, right? So this is Boat. I can list the URL later on in the chat if you guys are interested. So this literally is a chat box, right? And asks you what you want to build, right? Let's try this out. So assuming, right, you have a particular niche, right, that you want to, let's go back to the antibody cases, right? This finally loads. Antibody, you want to visualize how the antibody structure looks like on a browser. And you also want to, for example, a chatbot that you can talk to that can help you understand antibody structure. Let's assume that's a particular problem you encounter in your job. There are existing software do that, but let's just assume that there are not very good tools, very just tailored to your particular niche, right? You want to build your own tools. How do you do that? You just describe that, right? So let's see. I want to build an app that has a chat bot, can understand coding structures, and also able to have an UI to visualize the protein structure, right? There are typos here, doesn't matter, right? So you just press this. So you can, usually the first time you do this, or we ask you to create login, it's really easy. You just log in with your Google account. And now it starts to really do something for you, right? Now it's thinking, it's planning, but now you can see what is planning to do, right? All listed in here. And you can just like grab a coffee and sit and watch how AI does this programming job and building the application for you. So while the AI is doing this, any questions? Let me check if I can see the chat. Oh, thank you, Holly. I appreciate the feedback. All right, now you can see it is actually why is AI 2 so smart? That's a great question. 于是, I don't know how to pronounce correctly. Uh, the the large language model progress over the last couple of years are really incredible, right? I've interacted with large language models 3 years ago. They're not as smart as today, but but things have progressed so fast. It is just amazing, right? So fundamentally, what does a large language model do, right? It's trained on pretty much all the knowledge on the website, on the internet. So it's really good at predicting the tokens, the next tokens it writes from the larger model. But somehow, right, just the simple capability of the putting your next token, it's pretty right, actually can do things beyond what people have originally really designed these models for, right? So it is something that actually, just by the simple act of that, starting to have this thing looks like intelligence, right? It can do a lot of things that, including coding, right? There's a lot of programming, code already trained by the larger model. It does a pretty good understanding a lot of needs, what can be done with the coding, right? So really like sort of the AI coding is the one of the most successful applications of the AI these days, actually. So what's the programming that the boat is using? So underline, this is using JavaScript, or somebody, Jane says here, TypeScript. They're very similar, right? TypeScript is just like a variant of JavaScript, if you will, but you can just view this underline, it is JavaScript. It is a language for building web-based applications. So now we actually went through this, right? It didn't produce the desired result we want yet. So you can see there are some problems, which is a very common pattern of vibe coding is you do something, you will hear errors, and that's okay. There's a button here, both built very convenient for you, just called attempt fix. You just click this button, and it will try to do this. Oh, you can see I've used all my remaining tokens on this too today. So let's go. So you can try this on your own, and I guarantee you it should work after a couple of iterations. But let me show you the one that I just did earlier today to prepare for this demo, right? You can see the entire log here. It did this. It has some problems. I attempt to fix, and then it will fix it. So in the end, right, after a couple iterations, really under about 10 minutes, it built these applications. It is on inside the app, inside the boat itself directly, but it's actually a usable like prototype, if you will, right? You can see this is the underlying code. You didn't actually write any single line of code. AI writes all of them. And then this is the preview of the application. And a did show you there is a chatbot, right? If you can see this, there's a chatbot here, and there is a visualizer of the protein structure. And this is the file of the protein. It's an example of PDB file, which is a protein structure file. generated as an example for the demo. So you can click this button here to actually view this in the full browser, right? You can see it is, a really good prototype / demo product out of 10 minutes of AI's work, right? So you can see here there are the protein structure. You can upload new protein PDB file if you want and try this out. So I'll pause here for a little bit before I'm moving further. Any questions?
But how original is this design? One way is search the internet. Okay, some people
Mm.
develop this visualizer. Some people develop a chat box. The tool just put them together. Oh, I give you a solution. Or is that how it works?
So in this case, it is similar to that, right? Similar to what you've described, right? AI put together all these tools, right? It can also go beyond just putting two stuff together. Don, do you have a question?
问了啊，你昨天睡觉了是不是啊？你看洗下睡觉了啊，好不好？这个
Yeah. So let me go back to Yushi's question, right? So it can do beyond that. It's a very generic programming tool. So it's up to how you describe and how you instruct the AI to do, right? If you describe something that there is no one has done this before on the internet, what the AI can put together is it can write the code from scratch to help you build that. It may not get you like so far, but it can give you a good direction to go. Right? If Paul has, if any bugs or problem appear, the bots can fix them always. Not always. Sometimes there are limitations. Don, would you mind mute yourself if you're not asking a question? Thank you. So sometimes they cannot, right? This is a limitation of the vibe coding. There are, my experience is about 95% of cases, AI can solve the problem for you. But there are about 5% cases that you might get stuck. AI might get into a loop of fixing itself and never get out. So who owns the copyright to the generated code, image, and content? I believe that usually most of this applications, it is the people who asked AI to do the work owns the copyright. You can read the actual terms and conditions on each different applications. It might vary, but most cases you own the IP. Who owns the final image? As is AI allow you to export and save the image file? Yes. I don't know what you're talking about the AI image, but the application, the entire application itself, right? If you, for example, this boat, right? There's a button here. You can download this, and that will you can download the entire software code base to this, right? So for example, let's download this into my local directory, right? And so this become a local directory. You can open this, and this is your project, right? And that has your entire source code of this project. So any other questions? All right, so let me move on to the next tool, which is the tool I actually use daily for building my application for my startup. So it's a tool called Cursor. Let me go back to my slide. So this is a tool that a lot of software developers who essentially have experience or some experience of doing coding, and these are the tools that is more powerful than Bolt just demonstrated. Bolt is like I personally view as a really good for doing prototype, but in order to get a product out to do something that you can sell others to, it still is not fully there yet, right? So it has a lot of integrations. You can actually deploy this on the cloud, but I personally don't think it's fully there yet, right?
What about
So, let me see. Polly, can you mute down? Down's like voice just going in and out. If you can do
Yes,
that.
I was trying
Thanks.
to
Yeah.
do that, and
Yep.
but it keeps coming back. I mean, I think he's playing with his kids.
No worries. Yeah, it's probably his kids. That's the thing. Don't worry. So let me show you how you can actually do this in a more production way. So this may the level of expertise require this. Maybe not every have this. But in these days, right, the AI just getting better and better. Eventually, I think someone's going to build a really awesome tool that you don't have to do a lot of type of work yourself. But let me demonstrate this because this is a tool I really personally love. So we just download this app, right? Let's go to our. It does require you understand a little bit about terminals and stuff like that. So let's go to the environment we just did. So we go to here and we go to this thing called project, right? So this is all our source code. And then on cursor, what you can do is you can open this folder. So this is where we can get our folder. The source code you've downloaded from Bolt, right? It's called project. And now you have a entire your source code that both have Bootstrap for you. And now the first question is like, I want to get this working on my computer. How do I do that? You just ask the AI. So there's a chat here. You can ask AI, how do I run this project in my laptop, on my laptop? Yeah, it tells you, look over the project, tells you what the AI thinks. What is the project? It says it's a modern JavaScript type swap project using this particular tool. And it understands what this entire code base is to a really large extent. It says prerequisite, right? First, you need to make sure you have this particular tool called Node.js installed. You can check if you have it by running this. So literally, the cursor is really good. It has a lot of tools you build directly in. You don't even need to understand, for example, like running command lines. Cursor can actually help you write and run command lines, right? You literally come here, it says run. It will just run this. It knows what it ran, it knows the output, it understands that. And it goes back, says, excellent, you already have this installed, right? In the case when you don't have this installed, cursor, the AI will tell you how to install the particular application needed for running the project. It goes through a detailed step-by-step guide to help you do that. So now it says, step to run the project is first run this command, npm install. So you just run this. So now it's running this command, and it says great, right? And now it says you can start the development server. Now you just said this, says open this, and now it will says, yeah, let me check if the server started successfully by looking for the outputs. So you can run this, follow the AI instructions. It says perfectly. I can see the Vite is running, and there's a process, and there's this URL. Now you can see this. There's a URL pop up here. You can literally open this. You can see this entire application is running locally in your computer, and it is ready for you to test and develop upon this, right? So for example, we can try this upload a new file feature, right? So let's upload a different protein structure. So for example, this is another protein structure. You can look at this. It did visualize this, right? So this is really nice proteins, and you can zoom in, zoom out. It's a 3D structure, right? And then there's a chat box here. You can ask questions. Can you analyze this protein structure I just uploaded, right? Yeah, it will give you some analysis. Understand this chatbot currently is entirely fake. It is what bots generated as a demo, right? So now, for example, you can ask cursor says, you can skip this. I've tested this. It's working great as a prototype. The chat seems to be fake. Can you walk through the steps of how to make this chat real by connecting to ChatGPT, right? So now, like, if you know what are things you want to change in this application, you just throw that into the chatbot in Cursor, right? And now a look as the application says it's running, and now we'll do the explore the code base to understand how the chat is currently implemented, and then go through all the work, right? This is what people call AI agent, right? It doesn't just simple do a chat response back and forth with you. It can also calling tools, right? It can have reasons, like it have plans, what it plans to do. It goes through all the steps, and that's really the power of AI agent in this world, right? It does something looks like a reasonable person or experienced developer would do. So now it can go through all the steps as first you need to install the OpenAI's JavaScript SDK. So SDK stands for Software Development Kit, right? And then it goes through all the steps, right? I would not belabor this process, but you get the idea, right? It basically this vibe coding is really think of it as a like software intern or software contractor you hired that has the world's knowledge of how to write in almost any language the world has put on internet, right? And the AI has been trained on this and have this artificial intelligence can interpret what you want and come up a plan and follow through that plan to do that work for you. And when it doesn't do that, you can just like a contract you hired, you can tell the contract what you did right, what you did wrong, and the AI will take in your feedback and try to change the plan to do new things. So that's really the power of vibe coding, right? So I will pause here. Any other questions?
Hello.
How do you?
Hello. Uh,
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kenny.
I'm wondering like if we using build these apps, can we like using this app like add another app, like can we add like Word or Excel PowerPoint in this app? So like I mean like this app can use a lot of the local app like use together.
Mm.
I mean, like this can use the Word, use the PDF, or use the other software like the video, or the like the. I mean, like manage other app.
Oh, got it. I think what your question is, can this cursor have access to the desktop applications on your laptop to help you
Yeah,
do
that
your work?
yeah, right. Like like we use the because in our normal works, like we have to use a lot of apps, like use the PowerPoint, use other for professional, like we use the
Mm,
Camera
mm.
Office. For the other the software, we can like combine all the software together. It's become more effective.
Yeah, got it. I think I understand what you're asking for. So
Yeah.
that's I currently cursor currently don't really do that.
Okay.
A it cannot cursor itself cannot currently call the your application on your laptop. But there are other tools that do that. For example, if you search AI desktop use, there are tools that can help you do that and help you orchestrate applications on your laptop, right? A lot of tools usually like they can spin up a like virtual desktop on the cloud and install all those applications, and then the AI have control over that particular virtual desktop and can help you do work through those applications. But there are also cases where they can install on your laptop and help you control your apps. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. I love answering questions. It's more fun than just me talking to the void. Yeah. Let me answer this one by one. Jen says, how do you deal with the cursor when performance degradation over time, especially over large code base, right? That's a great question. So I've been using cursor for over 6 months now. So there are a couple of tricks, right? So usually if you're doing this for serious, a little bit more serious, you will buy a subscription for cursor. It costs about $20. And then you have access to more sort of advanced models. And then also there are this mode called max mode, where it can load a lot of context into cursor. So I've seen cases where for large code base, right, or for a like you can open new like there's each of these interactions you have with cursor, right? It's a recording in a thing called chat, or you can call it thread, whatever you call it. So usually the longer the threads get, the more context that the cursor AI needs to load in order for it to do the next iterations, right? So I've experienced cases where it can degrade over time, but what you can do is open a new chat that will basically refresh sort of the temporal memories. And then also in cursor, there's a function, if you understand the code base, you know which code you actually want to change, right? You can add this to the cursor chat. There's this button called add files to the chat. And then you basically tell the AI that this file is what you should focus on, right? It gives you AI more focused context. And then can usually help this performance degradation problem. But this is like, there's no guaranteed way to do this. A lot of times, you just have to try this out, and you can always ask ChatGPT or Claude, how to deal with this kind of problems. How do you tell to a self is doing right or wrong or pass or fail? So for me, right, I build a lot of web applications. Usually, I just go to the application itself, right? Like it's a host element or local version you can quickly test out. For example, you can test out whether the delete button works or not, right? So for example, if it doesn't work, for example, you were trying to implement a particular feature, you should know how to test that out directly in the UI, and then you can feedback to the AI what you've seen, what you've tested.
No,
so that's usually the pattern.
So I'm talking about, for yourself for fun, that's okay. But you are creating a software product, right? Software product, you have to consider all the usage cases. You have to build up a regression test. Does this tool, how the tool handle that?
You can ask the tool to help you build tests. It can do that. It can write test cases. So again, like this disclaimer, right? This tool, it does not do 100% your work, right? It can help you bootstrap a lot of work. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for what the application does, right? So you do have to understand a lot of toolings it uses. For example, you have to understand how to make sure the output of the AI eventually can pass your criteria, right?
Right. So that's the difference between prototype and real product, right? Real product has to test not just one usage case, right? And the real product has to handle like a several combination together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, but then you just like a person, you don't trust a single person to test his own code. He will say his code is perfect, right? So that's the reason I'm asking how to handle that. Do you need a like a independent tool to check the product, or how to handle this kind of situation?
So that's a great question, right? For production software development, I've done this before in a corporate environment. Usually, the code base you work on already have a lot of tests already built in, a lot of unit tests, a lot of regression tests, maybe some integration tests. Usually, in that environment, right, the problem you're focusing on it's pretty focused,
Right.
and then you can build additional tests, even ask AI to build additional tasks for the feature it develops, right? So you should follow all the best like software engineering practices if you're doing this for a living, right? It doesn't replace you for doing all those best practices. You should follow those. But another trick is you can try different AI models. For example, usually the most common recognized best coding tools are Claude 4 Sonnet, the latest ones. But you can also try to, for example, use one AI to critique another AI's code, right?
Right.
Back
We'll
and forth
probably
a
need
couple
that.
times.
We'll probably need those kind of things, I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, wondering Cursor which model? Yes, I just listed. These are all the models Cursor uses. Yeah. Prototype might not be the most efficient code. Does Cursor know how to optimize or refactor the existing code? You can always ask Cursor to refactor the code. So usually what I do is whenever I hit some walls, some limitations, I will ask Cursor to refactor this code. And one of the limitations I've actually learned is these AI tools are not super great at refactoring like large code bases. You don't want to like throw to the AI says like refactor the entire code base for me. It doesn't usually work out really well, right? So usually you need to fit into like bite-sized context to the AI, right? Like maybe one file, a couple files at a time to the AI and ask to refactor. So that's usually the best practice so far. Do you try tree instead of cursor? I haven't tried tree. Can cursor also generate new code like both instead of modifying existing code? Yes, it can do that, right? For example, you can ask, can you add a UI visualizer for DNA sequences supporting common DNA files? So it will generate new files. Yeah. Can I connect Cursor to one of my GitHub projects and have optimized the entire project for me? I believe you can try that. I haven't personally tried that. Cursor, I do believe you can do that. So there are also other coding tools that can probably do that even better, I believe. So there is this pretty common, not pretty common, sorry. This is the more developer-friendly tool called Claude Code. So you can search for this. So this is actually have good connections with GitHub. Well, last time I checked, it can do. I've seen a demo where literally, GitHub like pull request, you just like ask Claude to do a particular optimization for the pull request and just did that, right? There's a way to connect that together and do that autonomously, which is really, really fascinating. All right, so let me see other chats. Yes, Cursor and GitHub works well. Yeah. Cool. All right. All right. The next thing, let me see. What do you think about Cursor versus Codex? I've not personally tried Codex. Oh yeah, that's OpenAI's tool called Codex. I have not personally tried that. What I know is most of the developers in the developer communities I've known and worked with, most people choose Cursor. I don't know if that's because Cursor has the first mover advantage, or it's just because Cursor is superior to other products. I haven't personally tried other tools, so yeah, take my input as a grain of salt. Yeah, so I encourage you to try all other tools. But what I know is a lot of software developers do use Cursor predominantly. Yeah. All right. So the next part of the demo, if you will, is to show you the product I've built, literally using Cursor, right? Vibe coding. So this is the tool called, I'm starting the startup, it's called Cypher, Cypher Technologies, interchangeably. It's a tool for, you can think of somewhat a limited scope vibe coding tool for scientists to allow the scientists in the life science companies and industry to leverage large language model to solve their particular problems, right? So that's the sort of the philosophy of this tool, right? So let's quickly try what this tool does. It has a lot of vibe coding built in the software, right? It does leverage language model to write code to help you solve problems, a lot like how ChatGPT works, but with sort of more integrated environment that's more tailored to life science scientists. So let's do a demo. So test with Boya AI group. So now this is the interface. It's not exactly like ChatGPT, but it has some similarity. There's a chatbot, really similar to ChatGPT, but there's a file structure you can actually manage your folders on your left side, similar to like a Google Drive or your local folders, right? So now you can upload files here. So for example, let's find our files, antibody files we've actually asked. So you can directly view the Excel sheet directly in the application itself. You can ask questions that are more tailored to life science that ChatGPT cannot handle directly. For example, there are a lot of DNA sequences in this file, right? This is antibody. Antibody can be produced from DNA, right? There are underlying there's DNA sequences. So you might want to do some mutations on the sequences so you can do a different version of the antibody to try. Let's say you're developing a new antibody for a new drug or you want to try it out. This is like all fake examples, right? So you can ask questions like, this chat, can you do some mutations on the antibody sequences? So it can be very generic to start with. And then usually the iteration will be AI will ask you clarifying questions, right? Like, what do you actually mean, right? Which sequence do you want to mutate? What type of mutations you want, right? It actually even give you example, right? Replies with one of this, right? So let's see. I want to introduce alanine scanning in all heavy chain variable regions, right? I don't actually understand what exactly this means, but for biologists or drug developers who deal with antibodies, they probably understand this precisely, right? So then you can do this. Maybe we have a list of antibodies. Let's not load all of them. Let's just try for the first 5 antibodies. Right? Then you can just type this prompt here, right? What this will do is similar to what we demoed with the ChatGPT data analysis, right? Cypher will write a piece of Python code for you and try to achieve your job, right? So now what you can see is a write the code, it runs the code, it produces the output. Now it has logs about the output. It produces a new Excel sheet file, right? It actually very interesting. It does a lot of things. Gigantic Excel sheets. If you don't like the format, you can ask back. Says like this does something you don't like. But let me show you a really like sort of the vibe coding style, right? Imagine like AI did something wrong the first time, right? So for example, you introduce a bug here intentionally. Like I just want to demo this. So you can run this code again, and it will shoot error out, right? Says this was never closed. Similar to the boat we've demoed, there's a button we built here called fix error. And it just throw the entire context, right, with the error code back to the AI, and it will write you a new piece of Python code and to achieve what you originally asked for, right? So now it has this new code, it runs, it should give you the output, right? So yeah, this should work now. So this is like one of the advantage of our tools versus ChatGPT is, for example, if you do ChatGPT, if you ask the same question of ChatGPT, well, actually, I tried before, it will error out because it doesn't have bio-specific packages built in, right? So what we've solved is for a lot of life science use cases, we've built our application to understand a lot of scientific context and have a lot of essentially built-in support for Python packages run those use cases. So that's what we have. Another tool I've built is similar to how you can use bots, right, to build a web application. We've provided the scientists a tool called convert a widget to a UI, called essentially convert a script to a UI. So there's one button here that says convert to widget. What this will do is, again, like leverage the large language model to convert that Python code into a thing that can be rendered into a GUI, right? So now you can see it become a web GUI, and that you can upload an Excel file. That will be the original file, then you can run it, and that does what you've asked for. So this become a standalone thing that you can use repeatedly, you can share with others. So that's the sort of the main features of how we enable scientists to leverage LLMs to help to do their work, right? So think of a lot of cases where you have a lot of Excel sheet to wrangle, you have a lot of PowerPoint to produce, you have a lot of DNA sequences or protein sequences you want to change, optimize in certain ways. So this is a good starting point to use AI to do those work, right? So I'll pause here. But another fun fact is, as I've indicated in the beginning, the entire applications are built like me leveraging Cursor to do this, right? I pretty much built this over the last 5-6 months using Cursor. Cursor probably write 90% of the code, if not more. I've interacted with Cursor like on hourly basis, right, to essentially build new features, responding to users' feedback, like fixing bugs, all that things, right? So this is the production. We've launched the product, right, in April. It is a productionized tool deployed on the cloud, and there are paying users, right? This is not a toy project anymore. So I just want to demonstrate that, vibe coding can actually build your commercial product, right? It does take a lot of effort. It's not, you can build this like in a day, just using Bolt or something. It does require you to learn all the processes with the AI along the way. But the bar has never been lower, right, in terms of launching new product, particular software product these days. So yeah, I'll pause there, and if you have any questions, fire away. Yeah. All right, so there are a bunch of questions. So is it straightforward to obtain internal approval for installing Cursor within the company with a security department's perspective on its use? This is a really good question, right? So what I've experienced in the developer sort of circles I've worked with is a lot of people just start using Cursor on their computers, like because it's so fast, right? Unless you're in a super like security, like tighten environment. A lot of folks this is like an IDE, right? This is like the course is literally based on VS Code, right? It's an open source thing. It built a lot of AI interaction inside it. But a lot of folks just like don't even tell the company. They just start using this. And then eventually, a lot of companies realize that this is a really productivity boost tool for the developers, and they start adopting that. So usually, in a lot of cases, the developer driven, right? They use those tools that they find really useful, then they vocal about it, and they talk to the company, figure out the security compliance and stuff like that. So there's always going to be security concerns in this, but a lot of times I've seen is companies recognize the values, and there are enterprise version of Cursor. It's really secure. Have those security certificates to resolve those concerns. So I noticed that your prompts are probably unnecessarily verbose with starting words "can you," which increase your token cost. Yes, that is a good suggestions. You don't have to be polite with AI. You can just tell exactly what you want. Is there a free trial period for new sign up for Cypher? Thank you for asking. Yes, there is a free version. So it doesn't require you pay anything upfront. It just have limitations in how many features, or for example, how many analysis you can do. But you can trial this as long as you can, as long as you need. Does Cursor send anything to the server or do its work locally? So Cursor does send all the interactions. Let me share the screen again. Zoom. All the AI interactions that you've interacted with the Cursor, they're all pretty much eventually talk to the AI providers, all those frontier models. Or for example, if you're using Claude, that will be Anthropic's API. I believe Cursor will essentially, in the Cursor's application here, it actually directly talks to the Claude API endpoints. So it doesn't. Let me review this question again. Yeah, it does send to remote servers essentially. It doesn't do this work really locally, but all the code writing, right? Code writing that does do the work locally. But all the AI calling and response back, that's all remote. Yeah. Can you do a live demonstration of building PowerPoint? Yes, I can do that. All right. Let me do this. So let's see. Next, PowerPoint. Create analysis. Let's see. Let's use some demo data I've used before, a little bit simpler. Let's say you have this files, right? That you want to do a time point. You can see. Can you do a time point? Time course plot, and then summarize this in a PowerPoint with some stats of the data and a table. Yeah, let me take the advice, take out the can do. Let's do this. Yeah, so it generated the code. It summarized what the code will do. And let's just wait for the code to finish. Yep, so you have the plot. You have a summary table in CSVs. You have a PowerPoint, right? You can download this PowerPoint to your local machine. This has already existed. Download to a different folder. You can open this PowerPoint. Yeah, this is not super complicated. It just has 3 slides, right? But let me show you some other examples I've done before. It looks like this. What's really cool is imagine you have a PowerPoint like templates. You can literally upload that template here and tell the AI to use that template as a basis for building your new slide deck. So you can do that. So there are a lot of things that AI can do are mind-blowing, right? You just have to really, the limit is a lot of times your imagination, what AI can do. But certainly there are limitations about what AI like can do, right? You will hit a wall here and there, but there's it's like a more very knowledgeable like junior like developer colleague you have. It knows like the world's knowledge. It will try their best to do everything. It's not perfect. That's where sort of the expertise coming and can help. Like you can finish and polish the work in the end. But this tool can get you like 90% far. Yeah. Right. FDA released ELSA this afternoon. Any details are shared? Yes, I've seen a post about this FDA AI tools can help to do the regulatory review and stuff. I haven't dived onto the details. If anybody have more info on that, feel free to share. But that's the extent I know of. Yeah. If possible, please do a quick review and key recommendations. So let me go back to my slide deck, right? I do not have a summary here. But the key message here, right? Take home message, if you will, is this is a new age, right? The barrier for developing particular like software applications is never being lower, right? And the tools are just getting better and better. So for example, the tools I've experienced 6 months ago versus now, it is so much better just within half a year, right? So I will encourage everyone to give this new paradigm a try, right? If you don't know how to code, this is the perfect opportunity for you to actually leveraging like the vibe coding to build something that you always wanted to build, right? And along the way, I guarantee you will pick up some knowledge along the way. And this will be the knowledge of how to actually build software applications in the new age, right? A lot of developers who my take is developer who doesn't embrace vibe coding and AI will be outcompeted by the developers who embrace this tool because the productive gain is just significant. And the people who are new to this actually have an advantage because a lot of like old paradigms, you don't have to learn those. And a lot of things, you just need to really understand how to leverage the AI to do the work for you. And that is, I don't think enough people understand what is, how important and how paradigm shift that is.